My name is Nikki Verd. I am a kick-ass author, a keynote speaker, future of work coach. I don't know if there's anyone listening to me who has read my book. That would be great to know. The title of my book is Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. I speak on disruption, digital transformation, the future of work, and how emerging technologies are changing our world today. Just came back from giving a keynote at a Women in Tech event. I just felt like I should share some of the things I shared at the event with my LinkedIn audience. So if you're joining me today, you're welcome. If this is your first time to join my talk, you are welcome as well, especially women in leadership, because the world for so long now has been, transitioning and wanting more women in leadership and women empowerment, which is all great. These are all great concepts, which I'm very much in support of. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight, or that I was highlighting at this event today, is that many women today in leadership are losing their essence of being a woman. Many women think that they need to become a man to be able to be in a place of leadership or to be able to function in a tech world, which is not true. It's not true. You don't have to become a man to lead, and you don't have to become a man to be in the tech world. Since I was speaking to tech women, so my reference will be around tech, but it applies to every industry and in every position of leadership, especially to women. So the point was that many of us women, we are losing our essence of really being women. And the whole point of the world wanting women in places of leadership, in positions of power and in positions of making decisions, I believe the reason the world wanted women in these positions was because the masculine frame can miss out on certain things. The masculine frame can miss out, and they needed us women to be able to bring in our feminine essence to see things that sometimes men are missing and fill in that gap. But somehow women have become a bit too empowered, and they're functioning in these positions as men, just that they are wearing skirts, even though they are supposed to be there with their feminine essence to fill in the gap that was missing. But many of the women are showing up in their masculine frame so much that the whole point of wanting women in leadership seems to be missing, at least in my opinion. I don't know if there's anyone here who can see the perspective in which I'm trying to bring this in, but women in leadership needs to operate from their feminine essence. You don't need to be a man to be in a position of leadership. The whole point of wanting women in places of leadership was that femininity was missing from leadership. And there are only things we can see as women if we stay in our feminine essence, if we embrace being a woman, if we allow ourselves to operate from our natural state of being a woman, then we can lead from that state. But if we are empowered to become or to get to that position of power, and we get there and we are operating from that masculine frame, then there was no problem really solved. It therefore means that it is still men at the top, just that some of the men are wearing skirts and makeup. If we are going to be at the top, if the reason the world wanted women at the top was to have feminine essence, looking at what is happening in most of the women in leadership today, it therefore means that we are missing the mark. It therefore means that we are failing as women to really fully have our voices heard and our feminine essence heard if we are not embracing fully our femininity as we take on these positions of leadership. I understand that we are living in a world where, there's a lot of celebration about being a strong, independent woman, but that strength doesn't have to be hard. No one comes to this rescue of a strong woman, someone who is always strong all the time. Being strong and hard all the time is exhausting. Femininity embodies power just as much as masculinity, if not more. So femininity is strength through softness. Softness is not weakness, because that's what at the end of the day makes many women to become so masculine and so hard and so aggressive, because they feel like if I show up in my feminine essence, then people will think I'm weak. But not showing up in your feminine essence actually defeats the purpose for which women were needed in leadership positions. So softness is not a weakness. Showing up in your feminine essence is not a weakness. If women at the top are just as aggressive as men, how did we solve the problem? If women at the top are just as bullies as some men in leadership, How did we solve the problem of having women in leadership? The whole point of having women in leadership was to be able to make up for that, that softness that was missing, that feminine essence that was missing. But some women in leadership today are aggressive even much more than men. And so in my talk today, one of the things that I was really encouraging women to do is to embrace being a woman, is to love being a woman, is to show up in your position of power, your position of authority as a woman. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. I understand that the world is telling us as women to fight and that we are being oppressed, but that is not always true. That is not always the case. What if we change our story as women? What if we change the narrative of being victims, of being told that we are victims and we need to constantly fight? It is exhausting. Sometimes women show up in the place of leadership with aggressiveness because of these messages that, hey, you're being oppressed. If you don't show up like this, you will be oppressed. And I know it's a difficult conversation to have, but I felt like it's necessary nonetheless to still bring it up. Instead of seeing men as the enemies and approaching from that place of combating, what if we started seeing men as our advocate, as our ally? Especially in the tech world. Since I was speaking to tech women today, one of the things I was highlighting, in the tech world, it's clear there are more men in the tech world than women. Women are still getting, slowly inside this industry. And it's okay as a woman. It's okay to be the only voice, the only female voice in the team. It's okay to be the only female in the team. You don't need to fight. Look at these men like your allies. Look at these men like your advocates instead of enemies. We should not just embrace things that the media is telling us as women, that men are our oppressors, without really questioning and asking ourselves hard questions like which man has really oppressed me in my life. Because one of the things that is making women in positions of leadership so aggressive is that they feel that if they're not that aggressive, the men that are under them will not perhaps listen. But femininity was the whole point of bringing women into the place of leadership. If women are occupying places of leadership and yet feminine essence is missing from leadership, we did not solve the problem of bringing women into leadership. We just brought men to leadership, but they're wearing skirts. So we think about this as women. I don't intend to be long on this call. As I left my event today where I was the keynote speaker, I just kept feeling this really strongly in my heart that these are some of the things that we need to address. If we're solving problems of there are too many men in leadership and bringing women in, women should come into the position of leadership with their female essence. Embrace your femininity. It's not a weakness. The world needs it. For the first time in history, because of how disruptive technology is and how artificial intelligence, we need humanity more than ever before, and women are we are the ones who gives birth to life. We are the ones who birth life. We need that at the workplace. We need that in positions of power. We don't need another aggressive woman. We need that. We need softness. We need femininity. We need grace at work. We need humanity at work. And women are the ones to drive this humanity at work. We need workplaces that are humanized, and women are the ones to drive this humanity. But if we are approaching this from a place of combativeness and aggressiveness, we are not solving any problem. We just created another problem for ourselves. Women in positions of power, ask yourself, are you showing up in that position as a woman, or you're showing up as aggressive as another man, combative as another man, and you just defeated the whole purpose of wanting women in the positions of power? There are too many aggressive women in position of power, and I thought that it's important to address this. My keynote today was for over an hour. I cannot really share everything here, but one key thing that I wanted to share today was that it's okay to be a woman. If you're a female leader listening to me, it's okay to be a woman. You don't need to show up in baggy pants. You don't need to show up without wearing makeup so that you can blend in with the guys. You don't need to show up in looking like a mushroom. You don't need to show up looking like another man. Even the men under your leadership, they need female essence. They are craving for that. The reason the world wanted women in positions of power in decision-making table was because the feminine essence was missing. There are things that only women can see. There are blind spots that only women can see. If the room is full of men, only you as a woman can see. But you cannot see that if you are just as aggressive as the man sitting next to you. There are solutions that only women can bring. But you won't be able to bring that solution from a female essence if you are just as aggressive as the man sitting next to you. So to any woman, female leader listening to me, it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be a woman, and men are not the enemy. Operating from your natural state of being as God created is the best way to go. The fight among women and men, the competition among women and men, it has to come to an end one way or the other. And I feel that until us as women start calling out on some of these things, there is not going to be an end to it. We'll just feel like it's okay, because I know that some of the things I say, if a man were to say it, he will probably be stoned, and cancelled. Hopefully I don't get cancelled, but I felt that it's necessary to still bring up some of these conversations. Why is the world fighting so hard to bring women to the place of power, to bring women to place of decision making, to bring women to the place of leadership? If at the end of the day, these women are going to be just as aggressive as men, did we really solve the problem? We didn't. So it's about time for every woman in leadership to ask themselves, am I showing up as a woman, or am I showing up as another man just in a skirt or in a dress? Our femininity is needed. Our humanity is needed. We give birth to life. It is necessary for us to bring that life-giving energy to the workplace. It is important for us to drive that humanity in the workplace. If a female leader is leading, there should be a difference in terms of humanity, the way men are designed. They are not able to nurture. They don't have it in them. Naturally, they don't have it in them as women. But if women get into that position and they completely lose out on their natural state, the nurturing, the femininity, the softness, then is there any woman really in the position of power? Is there any? Just think about it.